This is a C1 listening test. Part 1. You'll hear 3 different extracts. For questions 1 to 6, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best, according to what you hear. There are 2 questions for each extract. Extract 1. You hear 2 people talking about career changes. Now look at questions 1 and 2.
It's strange, isn't it? You spend decades building a career only to reach a point where you're no longer sure it's what you want.
Tell me about it. I've been in marketing for over 20 years, but lately I've started wondering if I'm just going through the motions. It's not that I dislike it. It just doesn't excite me anymore.
That's exactly how I felt before I made the leap. Leaving corporate law wasn't easy, but setting up my own consultancy gave me back a sense of purpose. I'm working harder than ever, but it feels more meaningful.
That's what I'm craving. I think midlife makes you reassess everything: your time, your values, even how success is defined.
Yes, and it's not necessarily about earning more or climbing a ladder anymore. It's more about autonomy, impact, and whether your work aligns with who you've become.
Exactly. I used to chase promotions. Now I'm thinking of retraining as a career coach. Helping other people navigate this kind of transition sounds deeply fulfilling.
Extract 2. You hear part of a radio program about yellow taxis in New York City. Now look at questions 3 and 4. Although ride-sharing apps have taken over a large share of urban transport, the yellow taxi remains one of the most recognizable symbols of New York. But how did it all start, Marcus?
Well, the first motorized taxi services appeared in the city in the early 1900s, but it wasn't until the 1960s that the yellow color became standard. The decision was actually a practical one. Yellow was chosen because it was the most visible color in traffic.
Interesting. And beyond visibility, they came to represent something more, didn't they?
Absolutely. The yellow cab evolved into an icon of the city, appearing in countless films, novels, and tourist photos. It represented the fast-paced, gritty energy of New York itself. But there was also a system behind it. Medallion licenses limited the number of taxis on the road, which made owning one quite valuable for decades.
Right. Though in recent years that value has declined significantly.
Yes, the rise of app-based services disrupted the market. Many drivers who invested heavily in medallions found themselves in financial trouble. It's a stark example of how quickly technology can reshape traditional industries.
Extract 3. You hear 2 people discussing the role of the news media. Now look at questions 5 and 6.
You know, people are always quick to say the media can't be trusted, but I think that's a sweeping generalization. I mean, without investigative journalism, a lot of serious issues would never be brought to light.
Maybe, but I still think we have to be cautious. For every solid piece of reporting, there's another that's based on half-truths or rushed conclusions. Just look at how health stories are presented. One week, something's good for you, the next, it's dangerous.
True, but don't you think that's more about how the stories are interpreted by the public? The original research is often quite balanced, but the media sometimes oversimplifies or sensationalizes things to attract attention.
Exactly. That's what concerns me. The line between informing and entertaining gets blurry. It's almost like news outlets are competing for views rather than aiming to inform responsibly.
Sure, but I think it's unfair to ignore the fact that many journalists take their work seriously and uncover things that truly matter. It's not all about headlines and ratings.
Now turn to part 2. You will hear a man talking about Central Park in New York City. For questions 7 to 14, complete the sentences with a word or short phrase. You will hear a man talking about Central Park in New York City. Now look at questions 7 to 14.
Central Park is often described as the lungs of Manhattan, offering a natural escape from the city's intensity. It stretches over 800 acres and was designed in the 19th century by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, who wanted to create a place where New Yorkers of all backgrounds could relax. The park wasn't always as safe or clean as it is today. In the 1970s and 80s, it suffered from neglect and crime, but in recent decades, there's been a major turnaround thanks to public-private partnerships and vigilant maintenance. Many people are surprised to learn that most of the park's features, like the lakes, meadows, and even the woodlands, are entirely man-made. Only a small portion of the original landscape remains untouched. In summer, the Great Lawn is a hot spot for sunbathers and picnickers, while in winter, Woolman Rink draws crowds for ice skating. The Central Park Zoo, although small, is popular with children, and the nearby Bethesda Terrace is a favorite spot for photographers. Joggers and cyclists flock to the park early in the morning, and weekend concerts attract thousands. It's hard to believe, looking at it today, that the park was once considered a failed experiment in urban planning.
Now turn to part 3. You will hear a radio interview with Celia Dawson, an urban gardener who runs rooftop gardens in city centers. For questions 15 to 20, choose the answer A, B, C, or D, which best fits according to what you hear. You will hear a radio interview with Celia Dawson, an urban gardener who runs rooftop gardens in city centers. Now, look at questions 15 to 20.
My guest today is Celia Dawson, a landscape designer who's making headlines for her urban gardening projects in some of the most unlikely places. Welcome, Celia.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So rooftop gardens. That's not something most people associate with city life?
True. When I first suggested growing vegetables on the roof of a multi-story car park, people laughed. But I think that made me more determined to prove it could work.
Did your interest in this begin with gardening?
Oddly, no. I studied architecture first. I've always been fascinated by how space is used. Later, I took a course in sustainable food systems, and that's when I realized how disconnected cities are from food production.
So the rooftop garden idea grew from that?
Exactly. I thought, what if underused rooftops could become green spaces that feed people? It's not about large-scale farming, but about changing perspectives. And people love being part of something visible, something that grows.
And yet, you must face quite a few challenges.
Definitely. Getting planning permission can be tricky. You'd think people would welcome more green spaces, but some see them as impractical or high maintenance. Then there's the issue of weight. Soil and water aren't light.
And how do you deal with that?
We use lightweight materials and water-efficient systems. But honestly, the biggest challenge is convincing building owners that it's worth the effort.
Is the goal just food production?
Not at all. Of course we grow things. Herbs, lettuce, tomatoes. But the gardens also bring people together, provide mental health benefits, and cool the building. I see them as multifunctional spaces, not just vegetable patches.
Where do you see this going in the next 5 years?
Ideally, I'd love to work with city councils to make rooftop gardens standard in new buildings. But for now, just changing minds one rooftop at a time is progress.
Now turn to Part 4. Part 4 consists of 2 tasks. You will hear 5 short extracts in which people are talking about people they know. Look at Task 1. For questions 21 to 25, choose from the list A to H the description each speaker gives of the person. Now look at Task 2. For questions 26 to 30, choose from the list A to H the feeling each speaker expresses about the person. Speaker 1.
He's always trying to show off, bragging about his achievements or posting things just to get likes. It's like he constantly needs reassurance that he's doing okay. I get that social media does that to people, but with him, it's nonstop. Still, I don't think he means any harm. I just wish he'd chill and be himself for once.
Speaker 2.
Honestly, she's not the easiest person to be around. She says exactly what she thinks, with no filter. It's refreshing sometimes, but it can also be pretty hurtful. I mean, if you ask for her opinion, you'd better be ready for it. But I can't deny that she stands by what she believes, and that's rare.
Speaker 3.
She's got all these big plans. Launching companies, traveling the world, starting podcasts.
but never actually follows through. Every few months, it's a new project, then nothing. I try to be encouraging, but part of me wonders if she'll ever finish anything. I don't want to crush her spirit, but reality might do that first.
Speaker 4.
He never lies. If he says he'll do something, he does it, even if it's inconvenient. And when things go wrong, he's the one who keeps everyone calm. I've seen him handle crises that would make most people panic. I guess I admire that. He doesn't draw attention to himself, he just gets on with it.
Speaker 5.
She's a total drama queen. Everything's either amazing or a disaster. There's no in between. One time, she lost her keys and acted like it was the end of the world. But honestly, it's kind of entertaining. We all know she'll be fine in 5 minutes. It's just who she is, and I've kind of grown to like it.